Hello and welcome to the very first episode of my knitting podcast. I'm Mala, I live in Vilnius and work as a full-time biologist in immunology lab, but also I'm a dedicated knitter and yarn ally. I simply greedy for knits, and besides of admiring knitting as a process, I also like talking about it. That was an actual reason to start this podcast. I watch myself quite a few of knitting podcasts and I enjoy them, and especially enjoyable for me are those which consider regular podcast where the host shares the finished objects, works in progress, acquisitions and so on. So I decided not to invent a bicycle again, at least at the beginning, and just to try to do something similar. So get what you need to feel cozy and let's start. Today I have 4 finished objects to share with you. 3 of them are smaller, sort of small, and the fourth one is a bigger one, and I will start with smaller ones, and in particular the first in the row is Syysyo Socks by the pattern of talented Finnish designer Ronja Hakalehto. I hope I'm pronouncing this correctly. Sadly, I don't speak Finnish, and English is not my native language, as you probably already have been noticing, but nevertheless, let's get back to these socks. They are knitted from the top down, and they have quite a section of ribbing which is supposed to be folded. They also featured with this colorwork panel, and heel has a flapping gusset, but I have to mention that here I made some slight modification. Originally, pattern suggests to knit heel with reinforced stitch pattern, but I skipped this. Sorry, that's missing. I just knitted it with a stockinette. Another change which I made while knitting this pattern, I used different kind of yarn. Originally, pattern calls for decay yarn, but I used a fingering one or even light fingering one, and in particular for the main color I use this yarn that's called Home Creation. The paper tag is not very informative on each individual ball, but from the whole package labeling I know that this is regular sock yarn with 75% of wool contents and 25% of synthetic content. And for the color work panel I used some small yarn leftovers like Hita yarns, Nordlund and others. Knitting this pattern was both satisfying and fun for 2 reasons. The first one is that the pattern itself is written very well. It's very easy and clear. It's easy to follow and clear. And the second reason is the following. To knit this color work panel, sorry, I show it again. It's possible to use such a small amount of yarn leftovers, which regularly I don't know where to use and how to use. And the color mixing possibilities are also endless, which gives additional fun to this knitting. This was the first pattern of Ronja Hakalehto, which I ever knitted, but when I decided to check her Unraveled page, I'll put all the links down below. I simply got drawn there among her beautiful designs for knitted sweaters, for knitted tops, socks, hats and everything. I really loved her aesthetics. And actually what I also want to tell, I didn't mention the needles which I use, the needle size which I use to knit the socks. I will not be stopping on that much because I'm a loose knitter and my needle sizes are normally pretty much different from those which pattern suggest. And I will put all the links to the Unraveled page of every pattern I will be mentioning here. So if you will get interested, you can follow the link and check yourself the information from the first hands. That will be more precise and informative. Okay, the next finished object is also a pair of socks. No, this is October now, this is a sock time, and these are the Pythagoras Socks by the Verybusymonkey. believe the name of designer is Stephanie, and she is based in California, United States. And if you check her Ravelry page or her website, again, I will put all the links down below. You will find there are a lot of stunning designs for knitting socks, hats, and other accessories. And this patterns was for quite a while on my wish list. Finally, I knitted it, and I'm very happy. And the socks again are knitted from top towards the toes, and this pattern includes both lace and texture. It is kind of geometrical. That is why designer gave this name to the pattern, Pythagoras Socks. The pattern has chart only for this lace and structure ornament, no written instruction. For me it was pretty much fine. I prefer charted patterns, but for home it may be important. I mentioned this. I think this information should be considered. What else to tell? This pattern exists in 2 sizes. I knitted size 1, and it initially calls for the fingering yarn, and this time I used a fingering yarn, and exactly this yarn, and I need my notes for this. This is AMO yarn Merino nylon 75/25 for ply socks, and not sure if it's AMO or it's Emma. They are British. She is a British dyer. I got this yarn as a gift. That's why I don't know exactly how to correctly pronounce the name. But the color of this yarn is of this particular ball is golden oak. And I guess it worked very well for this pattern, and it was pretty much enjoyable to knit. So it was both fun to use this yarn and to knit this socks, Pythagoras socks. Okay, the next finished object now is a cowl, and it is a cabled cowl number 12 by Cathy Caron. Initially, it was published in Holiday Knitting and in Vogue Knitting Holiday issue of 2029, but it's also available for individual purchase. And here, designer alternates columns of cables and the moss stitch patterns, and also this cowl has a twisted rib part on both of its sides. It's knitted by the round seamlessly. Pattern calls for the iron weight yarn, but again I use DK, and actually I don't know which exactly yarn I used. I can only report that this is hand-dyed yarn. I got it through the Ravelry swap from the lovely lady from Slovakia. Her name is Lenka, and she sent me the whole package of beautiful goodies. And this yarn was among them, but it didn't have any paper tags. It reminds me of Malabriga, but I cannot be sure in that, of course. But why should I care that much? Because this yarn actually worked very well to this pattern. It fit very well. It's really nice to touch. It's very pleasant next to the skin. So I'm totally satisfied how this yarn worked here. That's why I'm not worried a lot about what exactly this yarn is. And actually this is my second attempt to knit this cowl. The first cowl I knitted in 2011, I believe, and that time it came out a little bigger than I expected, so instead of wearing it as a cowl, I was wearing it like rather a shoulder warmer. I was wearing it like putting it on my shoulder, and actually I really liked it because I found it has very versatile and cozy accessories. So this time I intentionally knitted to be rather shoulder warmer than cowl. Okay, so far so good. And last but not least from finished object will be this big and long lace cardigan. Unfortunately, I will not be able to fit it into the screen, so I will try to insert a picture or a video of me wearing it. And this lace monster was knitted based on the pattern from Verena magazine, number 3 of year 2023. And why based? Because initially the pattern in this magazine suggests to knit all the parts separately back and forth and then sew them together. I mean to knit like back part, both front panels, sleeves, all back and forth, and then sew all that together. But as much as I admire knitting as a process, in the same manner I hate sewing things after. So, and it would be quite a job of sewing, you know. And I told myself, no, I have to do it other way. And actually I did. And what exactly I did, I cast it on together, back and both front panels, just separated them with stitch markers, and knitted all this like a big one piece, starting from the down to top until the low part of armholes. And on this point, yes, I had to separate back and front panels and knit each of them individually until the shoulder seams. But after performing a shoulder seam, I was able to cast on the sleeves around the armholes and just knit them by the round. So instead of sewing tons of sutures, I just had to perform the shoulder sutures. That's it. So this pattern in Verena magazine, I cannot call it super details and super easy to follow because it's traditional for this Verena magazine. This is German knitting magazine. They gave more like they gave quite an instruction, but it's not that detailed like individual patterns normally are. They are not guiding you by the hand through the whole journey of knitting, stuff like that. They're more like giving you directions, I would say. And this cardigan consists of two big lace ornaments. They're not pretty much easy to memorize, they're two different. I will try to show you now. So this is one which is quite clear to see on the sleeve, and another one I could show you from the bottom of this cardigan. And as you can see, they're not super easy, and you have to pay attention. And what are you doing while knitting? You have to check the chart quite often. This pattern is charted only. There is no written instruction for this lace, so I would not suggest it for the beginner knitting at all. And I guess even experienced ones have to consider if they really need this. But I enjoyed it. I have no trouble to knit with charts, from charts. Another thing which I have to mention about this pattern, which you may not like, is this instructions include only 3 range of sizes, and this sizes corresponds to S/M range, then A/XL range, and the third one, I guess, is like 2XL. This is it. So it's not pretty much size inclusive pattern as well. But it is how it is. Which yarn I used to knit this? These are 2 different yarns, and the first one is yarn Tweedy. This is Ukrainian yarn, but I believe it's produced in Italy. The brand is Ukrainian, but the production is in Italy. and it consists of 90% wool and 10% of synthetic, but despite on synthetic presence, it's really rustic, it's really woolly on touch. I got 10 balls of it as a gift from my dear knitting friend from Kharkiv. Thank you, Elena. She sent me 10 balls of it, and I spent a little more than 9 balls to knit this cardigan. But I held it together with this mohair. This is Samantha of Tropical Lane, and Tropical Lane is Italian brand, and this is 25 gram, 250 meters, 80% of super kid mohair and 20% of nylon. And these guys together did a very nice job, because despite on the amount of lace, this cardigan is all lacy, as you can see. It's really warm, it's like a warm hug. I wear it already, even though I still didn't put buttons on. I bought some buttons of matching color, but I didn't like it, and now I'm in the process of looking for matching buttons. Looking for the buttons which I would like together with this cardigan. Okay, so far we got to the point of presenting the works in progress, and I will have 2 works in progress today to show you, the big one and the small one, and this time I will start with the bigger one, and exactly with this cloudy sweater by the pattern of Finnish designer Suvi Simola, or Suvi knits. And this is a boxy sweater with drop shoulder. It's featured with this pretty lace and structure pattern from both of the sides, and also it has some false seams on both of the sides, even though it knitted seamlessly from top to down. As you can see, it's almost done. I just need to finish the neckline. If you will check the pattern page on Unraveled, you will see on photos of the designer that this sweater is slightly cropped, but mine version is a little longer. I needed it a little longer for myself. I hope next time it will be completed and I will be able to show it on me, if the next episode will ever happen. Actually, this pattern is very easy and nice to follow, very pleasant to knit, and it includes many sizes, starting from XS and to 4XL. It also includes photo tutorial how to perform German short rows, because you need to knit with German short rows for shoulder shaping, but it's also very clear. And what yarn I used Lanagata class yarn. Lanagata is Italian brand, and particularly this base, the class, consists of 80% of merino wool and 20% of angora. I got this yarn as a gift from another knitting friend, another dear knitting friend, Tatiana from Kiev. She sent me 10 balls of this. Each ball is 50 gram and 125 meters, and this is all what I have left. So almost 9.5 balls was required to knit this sweater. I have been using this yarn first time in my life. What I can say, it's a pleasure to work with. It's a tactile pleasure. It's very squishy and soft. It's very nice next to the skin, both in this cake, but as a sweater. I hope it will be also nice in use, because I really a little bit afraid that it will be pill, because it's very soft one, but we will see. And now I want to tell a couple of words about Suvi Simola's patterns. Suvi Simola is one of my favorite designers, one of 2 favorite designers. I knitted quite a few of her sweaters. Some of them I tested, some of patterns I bought, but I never ever had any troubles with her patterns. They were always nicely detailed, even though they're not like 20-page, but still they're very clear, they're very easy to follow, no hassles, no troubles. I was always getting a right size sweaters after completing these instructions, and actually the sweaters I made by her patterns are my most favorite, and I wear them much more than others. They are highly wearable, being pretty much used by me with a pleasure, and I'm sure that one will be also like that. And next time, if it will be ever, I will show you it on me. Okay, finally we moved to the last work in progress, and this is sock again, and again designer is Finnish from Finland, I mean. And this is Syysyo Socks by the Sari Nordlund. So far I knitted only one. These are also knitted from top to down, and the heel has flap and gusset, and it worked with a reinforced stitch, and the pattern itself is one of the most popular Sari's patterns. I will take it off the locker to show to you. So you can see this lace in texture pattern, which she used a lot in her poet sweater and in her poet socks, but also in Syysyo Socks. Okay, initially a pattern offers you two options to knit more tight socks or more slouchy ones. I chose the tight socks, and also this pattern has an option to start with a tubular cast on for the additional stretchiness. I didn't do this, I don't have troubles with cast on stretchiness, so I just used the regular one, and for me it worked. Okay, this pattern also has both charts and written instructions, so it's safe for those who doesn't like charts. And what should I say? It's a really nicely written pattern, but again, this ornament is not very easy to memorize, and you have to check the chart or written instruction quite often, and you have to be attentive and concentrated while knitting. That's probably why I still only made one sock, but second sock will come definitely, because even though you have to be attentive, the pattern is fun, and it's, as I already mentioned, it's written really well. And I don't know how smart I was to use dark yarn for this busy ornament, but I chose it, I use it, and this is exactly classical sock yarn from Amber Tones. Amber Tones is a local yarn dyer. She is Lithuania based, lovely lady with a beautiful name Gintarė, which means amber on Lithuanian. She has her shop on Etsy, and also she runs a podcast on YouTube where she shares news about her yarns, about her shop, and also she shows what she is knitting. I'll put the link to this podcast down below too. So back to this yarn, and this is Weight Payment color name, and the contents of this yarn is 75% of merino and 25% of synthetic. It's superwash yarn, and it was a pleasure to work with, and I'm pretty much satisfied with this first sock, and as I mentioned, the second sock is coming. Okay, I guess we are so far moved to the acquisitions. And this section will be very short this time because I don't have that much to show you. I have only 2 small items, and both of these are stitch notions. I got them from the same lady which provided me with Syysyo Sock pattern. Her name is Marie, she lives in Canada, and she also sent me 2 little stitch notions, and I want to share them with you. This is the first one. I hope the camera will focus. This is from Twill and Print, and it's written Unraveled on it. And the second one, even more cute from my point of view. I hope you will be able to see this, because this is, please focus, this is Canadian bear, and she made it herself for me. Finally, we got to the end of this episode. Thank you for watching it. Thank you for being here with me. I put all the links about what I mentioned today down below, and if you enjoyed, please press the like button and write a comment and subscribe. I wish you all to have a nice day and to have a nice autumn, and I hope to see you again here. Bye.